He just managed this rowdy, dangerous crowd, and it was like he was hypnotizing them. All of those things, the flags, the targets, the numbers, are all associated with hypnosis, induction, and mind control. It seems so trivial, doesn't it? Like a television in every home. Some people, a television in every room. It's so powerful, such a powerful medium by the fact of its banality. So for quite a long time, and even today, you'll hear people, standard psychologists, say, well, the thing about hypnotism is, thank goodness, you can't get someone to do something that's against their everyday morality. And it's just not true. You can.
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Come on in, sit on down. It's time for another episode of the Truther Therapy Sessions. Back on schedule. We're doing this Sunday night live as usual, but I did actually just do a show on Wednesday because I had to push the previous week's show back to Wednesday. So rather than, do the Q&A tonight and just throw the whole schedule off that has been the schedule for like 3 years, I'm just going to do another Truther Therapy Sessions 4 days after the last. But this one is going to be a Q&A Truther Therapy session instead to kind of make up for the lack of Q&A on Wednesday. So this is going to be a loose show, quite open. I've got a few things I can say as usual, but really I want to have a conversation with you guys. For those who have been paying attention, we hit 100,000 subscribers just on it was actually the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated, so was that the 10th? So it's not been that long. And look, I've got the plaque up behind me now. It's a temporary place filler here. I'm going to have to find a proper place on the wall for it somewhere. In the meantime, I just can't be bothered drilling holes right now or cracking out the command strips. So I'm just going to leave it there for now in the background temporarily. And we'll find some place to put it that looks a bit more put together and professional, because this is a professional situation here. This is a proper, we work hard here. We do the best we can with what we've got. Yeah, the less you know about how the sausage is made, the better, I suppose, because maybe the illusion of magic will disappear if you realise it's just me in the office doing the best I can with a tack board and a laptop, basically. But yeah, no, that did happen. And then before I knew it, there was a huge surge of views on all of my Nephilim clown videos, which have been there for years. And it's brought with it just a mass influx of new subscribers since I hit that 100,000 mark. And I think I'm just about to roll it over to 107,000. So 7,000 new people have joined since the 10th. And that is just incredible. That is, wow. Like, I did not see that coming so soon. I thought it would be another 10 years to hit the next 100,000, That's how long it took originally. But it seems like once the algorithm gets you and that's it, really. And as soon as the engagement goes up on a video, it just chucks it out in front of thousands of people. And lo and behold, there we go. You have another 7,000 subscribers in like 20 days. But the thing is, and I was watching a video by somebody who I'm going to be a guest on their podcast soon. And he was talking about, I won't give it away yet, but he was talking about how, he's in the game of YouTube, and he says it's kind of like winning the lottery. You have no idea which video is going to go viral. And the one that usually does go viral is the one you put no thought into whatsoever. And you just didn't see it coming. It's like, really, that's the thing everybody now has seen and wants and thinks my channel is all about and wants to know more about, And in my case, I can kind of heavily relate to what he said, because something similar did happen. And I have this presentation I did with a relatively small podcast. And it was during the time when I just come back onto YouTube and was doing my Nephilim Clown presentation cycle, ready for the book being published. Maybe it was just after the book was published. I'm not sure. I haven't gone back to actually check. But it was during the era where I was in my old, very small house, and I did the live shows downstairs in the living room on the arm of the sofa I have, because it's a flat arm, and you can tell that I'm like at like an angle. It's looking up at my face, showing off the double chins. Really terrible lighting. For like 480p quality, I'm using the mic that's in the laptop for this, And I'm there just doing my spiel, which I had mastered by that point, and I was just like, I have like a 2-hour thing I could just reel off and pictures for everything. But it was a heavily picture-orientated presentation, and it involved me going into Google and slapping in things to the keyboard to make images come up, as I was sharing the screen. And you could hear every loud slap of the key, and I've got chunky, like, sausage fingers, so I slap the keyboard, I slap the keyboard. I don't do things subtly when it comes to that. And basically what I'm trying to say is it wasn't my best work. It really is not my best work at all. As far as my Nephilim clown presentations go, it's like a 4 out of 10. It's not up there with like the highest quality version of what I do and what I presented, and the information perhaps wasn't said as eloquently as I have done since then in many podcasts that came after that one on much bigger channels as well, which was I had much bigger audiences at the time. And, I brought my A game to those ones. I really got it out there. But that's the one that's randomly just skyrocketed into like viral. It's gone viral. And obviously I think the issue, I think I've figured out why. It's because it's so terrible. It drove engagement up into it, because people just have to complain, don't they? People don't engage with a video and leave comments unless they've got something to nitpick or negative to say, or to lambast, or sometimes to say good job. It's one of the two. Majority of the time it's because people just can't keep their mouths shut and have to criticize people, and like I've got a lot of comments on there of people just complaining about the slapping keyboard. And there's a lot of people on there as well saying this guy's absolutely, what is he, some kind of retard, and sorry to use that word, but that's what I'm being called, like people like just saying, no, absolute conjecture with no evidence whatsoever, baseless accusations, this guy's just a racist towards other people's cultures, just completely misrepresenting me, not understanding what I was saying whatsoever, missing the point completely, basically. And, like I said, it wasn't the highest quality presentation, so maybe things were missed and weren't said in that one, which perhaps led them to need to say something. But a lot of the points that I got were things I covered extensively in other videos, or have made clear in other presentations, or properly prefaced before beginning in other shows of what I'm talking about, and so these misinterpretations won't happen. And it's kind of like, for example, I got a lot of comments saying, I wonder if this is what the DMT jesters are all about. And it's kind of like, if you know anything about me in this channel, I have covered that an unbelievable amount, but it wasn't in that presentation. So they just had to bring it up. Do you get what I mean? And that's kind of the game. And I realize now why the worst things go viral online is because they're terrible, and that makes people want to comment. So the secret, guys, I've learned, if you want to be big on YouTube, just make a load of mistakes and do some kind of typo error in the thumbnail or in the title, and everyone will just have to comment about it. And there you go. You can thank them for the algorithm boost. It turns out that's what it is. But from that presentation, like I said, a lot of people have come to the channel now, and hopefully they went on to look at other stuff. But because it's one of those videos that wasn't the strongest, I think from the 40,000 views it got recently, I probably gained 7,000. A lot of people said, this guy's crazy, this guy's a quack, I am not continuing. This presentation's too low quality for my taste. I lost them. I failed. I lost them. So another rule, always put your best foot forward. You never know which thing is going to take off or bring more people to your channel. But that being said, I do have a lot of new subscribers, which I'm very thankful for. And I'm sure you have a lot of questions about who I am, what I do, what my work is about, what I'm known for predominantly, and some of the topics I cover on this channel. And maybe you want to pick my brain, or you want me to flesh some things out which don't make sense. Well, this is your chance. This is your chance right now. It's a Truth or Therapy session Q&A. So if you've got something on your mind, something weighing heavy on you, you need some advice for, need some help with, coping with, I'm your man. This is what this is for. Not a licensed therapist, by the way, just got to say, legally speaking. Do not take anything I say as medical advice or something you should be doing. I am just a crazy person with a laptop and a microphone. Do not take my advice. But if you want to hear it, you can hear it. I'll give it to you. So there we go, guys. This is where we are. This is what we're doing. And bring it. What have we got in the chat? Let's go to the chat. Let's see what people are saying. We got Cult of Con in the house. Thanks for being here. We got Wendy, moderator extraordinaire. Thanks for being here as well. Carmen Studios in the house. I love this channel. Woohoo. Well, Carmen, thank you. And thank you for obviously inviting me into your podcast. And we'll have to get you on the Truth of Therapy session soon as well. And you can do your thing too. We got Rejoice Artworks here as well. Looking forward to listening later. Connor's got his own, for people who don't know, the Cult of Con, who's one of my moderators, has his own YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to him as well. Go and check out his work. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the quality that you get over there. It's the cutting edge of conspiracy. He is not monetized. They will not let him be monetized. So he is resigned to his fate, and he is pushing boundaries way further than I could probably get away with at this level before I get completely and totally destroyed. But he's doing it, so go and check out his channel, The Cult of Con, and his Main Character podcast, which is usually a couple of hours after my show on a Sunday. No, what is it? No, it's Wednesday. On Wednesdays. On Sunday, he does a Sunday service earlier in the morning instead, which again is always a fantastic, biblically grounded discussion, which you should also listen to. So there you go. There's a quick plug for you, Connor. Hope that helps you in some way. I know your growth is getting stagnant these days because, again, you're just heavily suppressed and you're not being pushed out, but I could help. See what we could do. I've learned a thing or two about the algorithm, so let's see if we can play it. Another cool video on YouTube is Exploring Tartaria, Old World Secrets Revealed. This video is from the channel Truth Onto You. Truth Onto You is a channel that rips other people's YouTube videos and puts them on his. A lot of my work is on there. And I don't flag it. I don't, whatever, let him share it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I'm sure a lot of people copyright strike him all the time because he doesn't ask, he just does it. And yeah, Exploring Tartaria's work is probably on there too. But her work was around a long time ago, maybe around the 2016, 2017 period. And she kind of disappeared in like 2019-ish. And a lot of that stuff she initially said sparks the entire Little Season movement. And I kind of reminded people of her work in like 2020. And I ended up getting sucked into that whole thing myself. And now I have like hours of content on that topic like she created on my own channel. So go check that playlist out if you haven't already. Yeah. Connor was on Ceiling Fan Man last week, was he? I have to check that out. I haven't seen that. Good day, Paul. Great to be here, mate. Says Lincoln Sharp. Good to see you, Link. Weren't we having an email exchange not that long ago? What came of that? I've completely forgotten. I'm sure we were trying to organise something, or you were trying to organise for me to talk to somebody, or get back in touch, Lincoln, on the email on understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and let's finish whatever it is we started months ago. The Red Host asks, do you have any advice for presenting things better on video? I do a lot better talking to people organically, but a lot of the mode of communication these days is video. Well, it depends what kind of content you're looking to create, to be honest, before I could give any advice on that. Now, if there's different games you can play on YouTube, if that's where you want to base yourself. There's other platforms, of course. But there's different ways you can present your content. So what I do here is long form live sessions, which are a lot more off the cuff. I would say get some practice doing this, and there's no better practice than just doing it. And don't worry if it's terrible at first. You learn by doing when it comes to something like this. And there's a lot of technical things you'll discover along the way, things to avoid, software issues, latency, stream quality, how to toggle with all that kind of stuff. So you need to get all that kind of down, the basics down, before you can start doing live shows effectively. And again, it helps to have a solid audience built up first before you do something like I'm doing right now. Otherwise, there's going to be no one in your chat talking to you. So there's not going to be much of a Q&A, and you'll have to ad-lib a lot, and have to make stuff up basically and keep the flow going. And I suppose that's a lot. That's what this is. That's what this type of game is. It's learning to flow a conversation with very little gaps and very little fillers. Now, I'm bad for it, and I still do my ums and ahs and and I'm trying to be highly conscious of them and remove them after in post, but also when I'm live, I'm really trying not to have those in, because again, they show a lack of confidence in what you're doing, and I don't consciously know what I don't know I'm doing it, so I only hear them after the fact. So there's things like that, and again, mastering being able to speak for a long time and have something to say, as well as, you know, doing it in a way that's entertaining and flows quite well. It just takes a lot of practice. So if you're going to do this type of video, you're going to have to practice, and it helps to turn on the camera when you're on your own and just talk to the camera while looking at it, and let consciousness kind of stream, let what your thoughts and feelings and opinions on things are come out, and then listen back to it and watch it and think like, would I want to watch this? And maybe when you hear yourself say things out loud, you really do hear what it is you actually believe for the first time, because until that point it's just noise in your head, and it can make perfect sense when it's just in here. But when you say it out loud and hear it back, you'll probably say to yourself, is that really what I believe? Why do I believe that? Is that what it sounds like? You know, and that helps a lot. Again, give you that confidence, help you process yourself before you do the whole live situation. Because maybe you don't actually believe what you just said, and you only thought you did because it was a thought that was festering. You know, that's a piece of advice I give to everybody in the truther community all the time. Say what you believe out loud so you can hear what it actually sounds like. And even if you still believe it, but it sounds crazy, then you need to work on how you're going to say it so it doesn't sound so crazy to people, right? So it always helps to practice that type of thing too. When it comes to content, so that's one type of content you can make as a truther. It's just talking to the camera stuff. But that takes practice. If you're going to do that, people respond to authenticity. People want you to be real and just be yourself and actually care about what you're talking about. That's the winning formula for live content and talking to the camera content. People want to hear somebody who's actually real and actually cares about what they're talking about. And it doesn't help to have a bit of humor either. I'll say that it really helps in a lot of ways, be more personable. And I think there's a huge craving for that type of content these days. It used to be the 10-minute video or the 12-minute video was the hot thing, because people's attention spans very, very rarely went over 12 minutes or 10 minutes when it comes to keeping them watching, you know, that figure, that stat. But I've been watching the trends. Apparently that trend is dying now, and the 10-minute format, quick information type video where you got to say everything succinctly with graphics and everything, and then it's done. It's just it's a boxed off piece. It's kind of a dying form now. People actually want either incredibly short videos, so shorts, or long form, and that means half an hour or more. I find people engage a lot more with my half an hour videos than they do with my shorter videos these days, unless it's a really short video like 5 minutes. But my 10-minute videos, my 13, 15-minute videos, 20 minutes, no one really cares. Not so much. Like, my loyal fan base will always watch them, but in terms of engagement from people out there when it gets shown to them, no, people don't really want to watch it. It's kind of like people don't want to waste time on 10 minutes, but they're willing to invest time on something if it's longer. And I think it might have a lot to do with people listening to things at home now when they're doing other stuff. So it's like, well, I got all these dishes to do and this washing to fold. It's going to take an hour or two. I better find a nice long podcast to listen to. You know, and I think that's one thing. Or it's I'm on the toilet. I just want to doom scroll. I only want some short things to watch. So that's why the short or long form is in. I think people don't really have time or feel like it's a waste of time to just watch a 10-minute video. I feel like that seems to be the general mindset now. So there's another piece of advice: choose your time correctly. I in terms of editing, that's up to you how you want to do editing in videos. That's everyone's personal preference. Mine is I try not to edit that much, if at all, the conversation itself. I have recently begun using software to get rid of filler words and stuff for the podcast after I've done them, but I leave them in this show, obviously. And when I do my talking to the camera videos, there's no editing. It's just me talking to the camera, because I feel like that raw, in the moment conversation style is what people want. And I think the editing makes it feel a bit more disingenuous, and it's not real, is it? It's like you've edited yourself. You've changed what you said in the moment to placate people, and I think people feel like it's like a cheat, really. So try to be authentic. Try to get editing to a minimum when it comes to just talking to the camera. But if you want to make content where it's like a lot of graphics go into it and a lot of stock footage and videos and layers and information comes up, and that's your style. You'll have to just create that, and that kind of thing just comes as it comes. The longer you make videos for, a style will develop, and everyone will recognize that that's what you do. That's your thing. You know, that's your shtick. That's your style. That's your style of thumbnail. That's the font you always use. That's the way you. And everyone can see now. I kind of have a style, don't I? And the way I make my thumbnails is very specific, and I think people recognize when it's my thumbnail now. For a long time, I did not do good thumbnails. My wife can tell you this. They were terrible. When she met me 7 years ago, and when she discovered I was a crazy conspiracy theorist with a YouTube channel maybe 4 years ago, she was looking at my thumbnails and she was like, what is this? Like, there's nothing, there's no effort here. You just took a picture off Google and slapped it on. Like, what is this? Why have you put, your thumbnails are terrible? And she was right, they were terrible. I put a lot of work into making them better, and it took me a long time to master my style. I got Photoshop, and as soon as I discovered the drop shadow, I went wild. I went drunk with power on the drop shadow, and she still laughs at me today because I've not let it go. So that's me. You'll discover your style as time goes on, but you get the first piece of advice I can ever give anybody who wants to get into this game is just do something. Like doing something badly is better than doing nothing at all. And it will get better if you commit and put time into it, are consistent. And then hopefully you will win the lottery one day and the algorithm will just throw a video out and you go viral and then you get the subscribers. It's a numbers game. It's a waiting game. There are things you can do to cheat the system, I suppose. Good SEO. In the description, good high quality thumbnails. Even if the video's low quality, make sure that thumbnail is catching. You've got them, you know. And again, I find authenticity and having the gift of the gab does help a lot. Like, and that comes naturally to some people than it does others, and I'm aware of that. And it's not really something you can learn necessarily, but with good practice, you can at least get better at it. But it tends to be one of those things that comes naturally to most people who are like that, you know. And that's all I can really say. I've been doing this for like 10 years. It took 10 years to get here. It's not just something that happened overnight. It was just a grind and a lot of work. So I hope that helps. I hope any of that advice helps anybody listening whatsoever. I am just a fool who's fallen ass backwards into a pot of gold. I don't know what I'm fumbling around here and things just keep working out. That's just how I'm doing it. That's my style. I just want to focus on my thoughts and getting them out, and people seem to want to listen. So again, you can spend hours on the details. You can spend months, weeks, a lifetime on the details of getting the font right, the color scheme right, the theming right, all that kind of stuff. You could just spend so time worrying about the is the title correct? Have I got the right description? Did I put the timestamps in the video? Did I release it at the right time? And all of that means nothing if you just haven't got that kind of that draw, that pull, that charisma that comes naturally to some people. I'm sorry, I know it's not nice to hear, but I think that's true. I think that's the problem. This is entertainment at the end of the day. And look, I take what I do seriously. I believe in what I do, and I think I'm speaking the truth, and I spread that. But most people are looking for videos to entertain them for a little bit while they're actually doing something mundane in real life. That's what this is. And if you can't hook them just by your personality, then you need to play a different game, I suppose, which again is creating informational content where the personality might not be as important. And there's many other styles of things you can do other than, but in the conspiracy world, it tends to be either highly informational with very little person in it, or a person talking a lot. There's very little in between in the conspiracy realm. That's another piece of advice there. Because like I only know this because I've seen channels out there who it's just literally somebody talking to the camera and puts no editing, no effort into anything whatsoever, and they have millions of views. And you see these other channels who have clearly put so many hours, so much time into the presentation, the style, and the graphics, and the grunt work, and the art, and they get nothing. And you have to wonder why, and it's because maybe this platform is better suited to the authentic individualist type of entertainer type. I think that's what people are really looking for on this platform. It seems that way. That's my observations. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm talking absolute bollocks. I have no idea. But just take it or leave it for what it's got. Ever considered moving out of the UK? I know many other places aren't much better, but it's getting pretty grim over the pond, says Calgore. Yes, we have considered leaving the UK many times, and we've tried to think about where we would go, where we would be safe. And it seems like wherever we go, let's say we went to the US to escape, let's say, digital ID, full authoritarian control, socialism and the rest, and then the mass migration replacement and all this making that life more dangerous for our kids in the future in the streets and the rest of it. Well, if I went to America, I feel like I'm just kicking the can down the road. Give it another decade with the exact same problem there. I feel that's what it feels like. It's like, well, we may as well, rather than bugging out, as we said in last episode, maybe I'll just bug in and we're going to hunker down here and figure out how we're going to get through this, as much as we can. I do wonder. We have definitely contemplated. I mean, my wife, she wants to leave. She wants to go to America. She wants to get out of here. She hates this country. Absolutely hates it. I'm more rooted in where I live. I really feel like I'm a part of this place, and it's harder for me to separate myself from it like that. But at the same time, I do know, like, home is where family is at the end of the day, and I have my family, and wherever we go together, we can build something, and I'd be okay. But I don't know. I have this deep-seated nostalgic love for where I live in the UK. Like I think it's beautiful. I love this place. It's my home. It's my land, in a sense. And I grew up there. I know the nature. I know the trails. I know the beauty of this place. I know this place, and it's harder for me, even though maybe what I'm nostalgic for maybe doesn't exist anymore. I don't know. But even visually, I love the buildings, the architecture, the greenland, the wildlife, all of that kind of stuff. And I love the sunsets. I love the slightly different shade of the sky at nighttime than in the east of England or the south of England. Like there's things about it. Like I even like it when it rains here. Like I like it when it's grey. I like it when the leaves change. Everything about this, like, this is my country. This is my home. And it's hard for me to imagine just leaving it, but I will if it means my family's safer. But doing that would cost thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds. And it just doesn't seem like a possibility given the circumstances. So I don't know. But yes, I've thought about it. We have thought about it. I hope that answers your question. The beauty is once a year in summer, says my wife. Yeah, exactly. We were driving down just a mundane street, which we've driven down hundreds of times. I remember in summer, she was like, wow, this place actually can look nice sometimes, can't it? It does. Because England pretty much is grey all year round and colourless. But the English people built stuff. So once a year when the sun shines for that one day, it suddenly seems like a glimpse of heaven when everything we built is illuminated and all those churches and buildings are there through the spires, through the trees. And it's like, oh, look at this. Look what we made. that one moment, that one day when the sun shines, you can have a slice of heaven right here in England, and then we're back to grey misery. But I like that moment. I'm attached to that moment. It's grey all the time here, yeah, it is. Come to America, bro. Well, like I said, I mean, shall I start a GoFundMe? Let's get the Stobbs to America. Let's get the Stobbs family to America. It's not feasible. It really isn't feasible for us. I just don't know. Canada is pretty cool. Just don't go to Toronto or Vancouver, says Calgary. Well, yeah. Canada's it's on the border of America. But Canada is a part of the Commonwealth. It has the same problems as the UK. I feel like what happens in the UK is just downstream. It's coming to Canada and then Australia as well, and it's just around the corner. And it seems like pointless moving to another place that's still under the same dictatorial socialist regime. I just don't see the point. And another thing I kind of want to just riff off here, and I was talking about the turning of the seasons, and it's now autumn's kicking in, and me and my wife have been going. I'm going to be honest with you, we've been going through hell. The past 2 weeks, 3 weeks have been absolute hell for us and our family. We've just had one bad thing happen after another. serious health scares, waiting on health results for me, my wife, and our children as well. It's just horrible things that started just piling up on top of each other. We started making a list because it's getting that bad of just what's going wrong this October onwards. Since September, since fall began. And it has been really, really horrible. But we've just discovered, through no fault of our own, a holiday we've saved a lot of money for and paid for, which we're looking forward to heavily, which is right around the corner, only 3 weeks away. We've just discovered that the whole thing may end up getting cancelled due to situations far outside of our control, and we may end up losing like thousands of pounds and not have a holiday because of this. And it's just that just happened on top of all these health scares and other horrible things, and it's just, we got rejected for funding for this other thing for our children. It's just, why is this all happening now? And we remembered, like I said, we've been together for like 7 years, and we remembered the end of the year, when it's always the back end of every year, is always like this. Like, we get lulled into this false sense of security when the Christmas period ends and we're going into spring, like, things always seem hopeful and everything starts going really well for us, and we're growing and we're moving and things are improving in some way and we're making leaps ahead and everything's great, and it's like, oh, this is so good. So we make plans for the back end of the time, it's like, and we think everything's so great, and as soon as like the back end of the year comes, it happens every year, something horrible happens, like absolutely disgustingly horrible, just ruins everything and just rips our life apart type stuff. Just always comes at the end of the year, and we got so used to it after 3 years that we decided, right, it's time that we actually prepare for that end of the year. So we have this system now where we save in the first half of the year into pots to prepare us for the inevitability of the utter destruction the last half of the year brings to our life. It's like a cyclical curse we can't break out of, and we forgot this year that it was that time of year again, and it all suddenly piled onto us, and we were blindsided. And then we had a moment where we remembered, like, oh yeah, it's the end of the year. This always happens. This always happens. So now we're trying to laugh about it, but it's not funny, because our second born, youngest, almost 11-month-old, has decided to scream bloody murder and not sleep anymore at bedtime unless they're being held. And we can't do that because it's incredibly stressful. And when we do hold them, they end up getting put down, getting up immediately and screaming after we got them to sleep, to the point where we're completely stressed beyond belief. And it's 5 hours later and they're still not asleep after getting them down 20 times because they're not having it. They just want to be held. So, we then you get the guilt syndrome. It's like, well, I'm a terrible parent if I don't hold my screaming child. But at the same time, if I don't teach them to sleep on their own, then they're never going to sleep on their own, and we'll have no life, and everything will be terrible for us. And you tear yourself apart over it. So while everything's falling apart around us in our life, this happens. And I don't know. Pray for us, please. So that's where we're at currently. This is why many of the shows have been all over the place and timing's been wrong and I've had to cancel some things. It's because it's just life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Is it for everyone? Is this just isolated locally to my family, or is everyone feeling this time of year? Does this always happen to everybody else as well, or is it just us? Please let me know. Because it's absolutely crazy. This is my therapy, by the way. This is me trying to just get it off my chest so I can get back to talking about conspiracies again. Like, just I don't know. I'm not like a depressed person. I don't get like depression or anything. But I tell you what, I'm getting bloody close with what's going on. And it's not because like I've got some hormonal imbalance or something. It's because things are just going terribly. And it's like, yeah, I'm mad, and it's pretty sad. And I can see why people get like seasonal affective disorder where they get sad this time of year, because it's just awful, isn't it? And never mind the lack of vitamin D that's on our way because the sun's suddenly just blocked out by a big blanket of white clouds from now on and forever until that one day in summer. Welcome to the Stobbs house where everything goes wrong September to November, says the wife. Exactly. Yeah. I'm having it too hard, have for the past 2 years, says Shelley. Well, Shelley, I'm sorry to hear that. Look, don't get me wrong. I know people have it way harder than us. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying I've got it worse than others or feel sympathy for me and forget about your own problems. I'm just telling you, like, this past like month and the foreseeable future, we're still in the midst of it. You know, we're in limbo again about many things, and we're like, the stress of not knowing answers to things is what really the worst part, and not having resolutions and solutions and feeling like you're just floating in chaos. Like, I know our problems are probably trivial to many people out there, but I'm still living it, and it's just compounding. It's compounding to the point where I made a paper chain with my son yesterday, and when hanging it up, it snapped. And that's the thing that made me have a mini nervous breakdown. It's like, it was the trivialest thing that made me sit on the stairs and just stare off into the void for like 10 minutes. And my wife's like, "You all right?" And I was like, "I just want to cry." Like, the bloody paper chain snaps. It's like I had to pull myself together and get on with it again. It's like that's the one thing that gets you in the end. It's nothing, you know, it's absolutely, because everything else is just piling up. But yeah, Paul's moving. Reality witness, Paul's moving thun. Thanks for the $5. I'm sure that will, every little helps when it comes to getting out of this country, I'm sure. Thank you, though. I do appreciate that. And maybe get a cat that likes sleeping with the kids. We're not getting pets. No. I know we've lost too many in the past couple of years. It hurts, and I don't think we can handle that right now. I don't think we can handle the thought of getting a pet in our life, knowing they're going to leave us eventually after we've just lost a few of our pets from like our mum and dad's house and stuff in our childhood. It's getting too much. No, and we're not ready for that. It's too soon. He was almost crying on the stairs. What was our eldest's breaking point again? Yeah, my son broke down as well. Like, he's going through the stress with us because it's just stressful all around. And we were leaving Sainsbury's. We'd just done the shopping and we got lunch. And it was late in the day. We were all hungry and we were eating lunch. And he's there sat in the trolley, you know, and we're going to the boot of our car. And it's windy. And he has this pack of crisps. I think like some McCoy's beef flavoured crinkle crisps or something. And a gust of wind gets the packet and he just whips out of his hand and just goes all over the wet floor. And he just loses it. And I'm like, "Oh, no." And I'm like, "It's okay. It's okay." And he's like, "No, it's not." Like, "It's not okay." And I looked at him, I was like, "You know what? You're right. This is not okay." Like, who do we blame for the wind? Like, whoever it is, I'm writing an angry letter. We're complaining to the wind. Like, we've had enough. Like, we're not having it. We want compensation. It was like, I agreed with him. It was such an indignant act of misfortune upon a 3-year-old. I was like shaking my fist at the wind. Like, how dare you do this to us now at all times? But I was just enjoying. He was explaining to me, he's like, "I was just enjoying my crisp, and then a gust of wind came and blew it out of my hand, and it was all over the floor." And he's like streaming with tears, trying to explain to us this thing we just watched happen. And it was just funny. Kids, you know, they're funny. They're funny. Phil, have you seen the channel Donut Operator? Covers police blanks. He mentions in a recent video he's writing a screenplay about the Nephilim Afghanistan. No, I've not heard of that, Phil. I'll look into it. Thanks for the heads up. Paul said trolley, boots of car, and crisps in 10 seconds. Definitely British. I forgot, guys. What do you call them? What do you call trolleys? Do you call them anything? Is it wheeled baskets? Is that what you call them in America? I don't know. You call it a trunk, don't you? And chips. You crazy people. What are you doing? Butchering our precious language. Sorry you're going through it. Got to drive 3 hours. Things that get better, dude. Stay safe out there and everyone. The Red Horse. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate the help there. And yeah, drive safe. Drive safe. I told him we would write a complaint to the wind. Yeah, so I said. He believes we're writing that complaint as well. He does believe it. Remember, Jesus said, "God feeds the birds. Don't worry, be happy." Yeah, no, look. God has provided more than enough for my family over the years. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we have everything we need in order, and we pretty much want for nothing, but we don't want anything. You know what I mean? So it's not like an issue. It's like one of those type of things. We have what we need, and we're happy. And like I said, I know I'm blessed in many ways. I get to do this, and I'm supported, and I pray daily, and I'm thankful daily for everything. So I know I'm not too, but it's just we notice this pattern that it's this time of year where sudden chaos comes into our life every single time, and we know it's temporary. We'll get through it, and we'll get past this, and probably be stronger for it in the end. So it's not like I'm just venting. I'm venting, guys. I'm venting. I've always wanted to ask, where did all the bones from the Paris catacombs actually come from? It's a good question. We don't really know, do we? No one really knows. We just know they're there. But when you look at them and the way they're laid out, it doesn't seem like anything satanic to me. It doesn't seem like a desecration of the dead. In fact, these bones are lovingly boiled and polished and layered in such pristine order with care that it seems like whoever did it had absolute reverence for them and the dead and considered it holy and precious when you actually look at it. Like, it's not a macabre thing at all from their perspective. It was very much a veneration and a glory in what they did, it seems. But obviously, it's the perfect setting for every edgy goth Satanist out there who wants to do a mock ritual as well. So it's one of those, isn't it? Because it's obviously it's quite macabre that it is just so much death there. But there's no shoes, is there, or anything like this? It's like, who had the time to do all this to these bones and lay them out the way they did, you know, and for so many miles as well, and it's just ridiculous. But when you bring in the millennial kingdom aspect into all of this, I think you might be able to see a bit of a different situation. And one explanation, I think, if you were to imagine that you're living through the millennial reign of Christ, and people have extended life during this time, if you're not a resurrected saint living through this time, so you're already immortal and live forever, then you're just a person who lives during a time where your life is significantly longer than it was for humanity post and pre-millennial reign. So maybe you live for like 150 years or 200 years rather than the usual 70 to 90, if you're lucky, type of years, you know. And I think when people were living a lot longer and when they died, I think the reverence for the bones was a lot more serious and solemn and with a knowing and an understanding that this is not death for them. This is not the end. And it's the idea of, you know, the dry bones situation. Like, God will put the flesh back onto these bones and bring them back to life. And I think if you have that mindset and that belief and that understanding, that these people who lived through a time where they knew Christ intimately and understood he was king and he is risen and everything is his under the heavens, you know, and you live with that knowledge and that reverence during a time of perfection and bliss and warmth and the rest of it, you know, a perpetual spring. And it's kind of when you die and your loved ones are still around, it's kind of like, we know it's not the end for you. We'll see you in the next resurrection type of situation, isn't it? We'll see you at the great white throne judgment. And in the meantime, we'll look after your remains. Maybe that's how that happened. Maybe that's why the catacombs were created and why there's so many. Maybe. Just an idea. I don't know. I really don't know. And a lot of them, like a lot of these type of macabre places, only like under cathedrals and things like this. Who really knows? I know a lot of people like to imagine it's something morbid. But from a millennial reign perspective, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. And that's just an idea. I have no idea. I don't have an answer, unfortunately. That's just a guess, a theory. What do you think? Let me know. Are there undiscovered writings from the millennial kingdom, says Dan North? I don't know. I don't think so. If there are, they're probably in the Vatican vaults. They've probably been hidden from us. There probably weren't many volumes of these things or mass productions of books or anything like that. I think any people's memoirs or writings or precious artwork of that time was burnt, destroyed in the wars, the First World War, Second World War, Civil Wars. I think a lot of it was covered up. And the past 250 years has been a concerted effort to make sure that's the case and to rewrite history. So many of the manuscripts that were from people who during that time and the artworks that were created have been locked up, buried, burnt, destroyed, and just kept away. I think that's as simple as that. The only thing they couldn't get rid of was the mass volumes of Bibles everywhere. But what they can do is manipulate our perception of where we are on the timeline of the biblical narrative, and that's what they did instead. That's my theory. That's what I think. I think catacombs are a piezoelectric underground antenna. Maybe. You sound like you know more about that than me. Honesty is a good policy. Absolutely. The Orthodox Church does not permit cremation for that reason. We'll need our bodies in order to be resurrected. Well, I don't think it matters what happens to your body, whether it's completely destroyed or burnt up, or I think God can put you together from the dust if he wanted to, from ashes. Absolutely. I don't think it's a problem. Nothing is out of his control. He doesn't need enough to work with, or else it's a no-go. I don't think it works like that with God. Freemasonic idea of leaving a greater light so there is greater condemnation, says Shirley Grace. I don't know what that's about. You have to explain that to me. They call it a buggy or a cart. Oh yeah, the shopping trolley. You do call it a cart, don't you? You crazy people. I'm used to British words, but did he say beef flavored crisps? Yeah. Beef. It's delicious. Honestly, you need to try it. If you're ever in England, try some beef hula hoops. I'm serious. I've seen piles of bones in Cambodia killing fields, says Mark. Yeah, that sounds dark. Absolutely dark. You've said a lot of things, Mark. You're a very well-traveled individual from what I've seen in the Telegram group and some of the stories you've told. You have been everywhere and talked to a lot of amazing people, I'm sure. Roger Ritchie says, seems the same for wife and I. We get hit with insurance dues and such this time of year and blindsides us. Yeah, it's just one of those, isn't it? It's not always financial problems that we get. We get really, really dark. I almost got fired this time of year last year after being accused of theft when I worked at Aldi, which is just complete nonsense, and I proved it all wrong. But I was suspended while my wife was pregnant with our first child. It was the most stressful, horrible time. I thought I was about to lose my job, and we had to fight. It took us 2 months to get it all resolved. It was nothing but absolute stress. And then she went into labor immediately at the end of that, during all the stress, and we were panicked the stress was going to put impact on our baby and possibly kill them or cause serious problems. It was a horrible time, and it's like the worst things happen. And it's kind of like it gets resolved. Oh, you didn't really do anything wrong. You can go back to work now. No strike, no problems. We just put you through hell for nothing. Whoops, you know. It's always like that. It's like the demons come out this time of year and just want to make us suffer the most heinous of things. Like, I don't know. That's just one example of what happens this time of year for us. And then another year after that, I get attacked. I get attacked at work, and like some guy grabs me by the throat because I wouldn't serve alcohol to his gobby wife and the stupid teenage children. You know, I don't know. Yeah, it's just one thing after the other. Virginia says they've had an infected foot for 20 days. Ouch, that sounds horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. What's going on here? Maybe can't. So I'm just scrolling back in the chat, guys. Let me catch up to the chat. Let's keep this up to date. Wendy's saying smash that like button. That's right, guys. Like the video, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification, hype if you must. I don't know. This probably isn't the best video for this. Is just a chilled out conversation, you know, back and forth. If you've got any questions, get them in. I'll try my best to give my 2 cents. But coming up to the hour mark soon, so I'll have a bit of a music break in the middle as usual before getting back into it. While I've got you guys, I still have. This is 3 of the 5 hardcovers of the Nephilim Looks Like Clowns that I have available for signed copies. So if you want a signed copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns shipped to you personally by me from this very office, you can email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com and I can get that out to you. It is £50 for this, and that's the price. That's it, flat rate. But if you are really far out somewhere random like New Zealand or Australia, it's £60. The postage is so much dearer, it's ridiculous. If you're in America, there is now a new duties tax, but I'll pay that for you on this end, so don't worry about it. I've managed to figure out how to get all that sorted now. So the rate is still £50. So there we go, guys. If you're interested, email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. That really helps me a lot, and you obviously get something in return. Nothing else to really shill. Get an audiobook while you're at it. Why not? It's a good companion for the physical copy. If you just can't actually read and want people to think you can listen to it in your headphones while having the book open, just as usual. And on that note, guys, I'm going to play a quick advert for you. Get a drink, and the advert will pretty much relate to everything we just said. So here we go.
In a world where 54% of Americans read below a 6th grade level,
Could you read this?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
one man wrote a book about the hidden truth behind clowns.
I finally finished it. But everything's going to be okay now. Links down below to the Amazon.
But he was about to find out
Your primary market is the USA, and it ranks 36th in global literacy rates, with over 43 million adults unable to read or write.
getting the truth to people is no day at the circus.
You know, sometimes I wonder if I'm the real clown.
Nobody reads anymore.
Have you considered recording an audiobook?
You're going to get a sore throat.
You're serious about this, aren't you?
You don't understand. I have to do this. The people have to know.
That book will ruin everything.
I will not use AI to record this.
We can't let him reach them.
This is just something I need to do. I don't even like clowns. The end.
Now they can hide that they're completely illiterate. This is amazing.
This season, playing on rectangular devices with black screens near you. The Nephilim looked like clowns. The audiobook.
I heard him shout, "See, still ashes." I cried steadfast as my blood dripped on out. 40 men swore to an oath not to swallow one thing until my death. I'd fight, but it be in your hands. Got my scars already to beg, privilege to trust you. I'll worship and stay, anguish burning in my pleas are that I can, under all these stones, still combine my hands to fold, to pray. I'd ever think this would go down. A second more will keep my knee from above. Yeah. But are my hands beyond bars to chains for you? Temptation sings a sweet song to break free, but I will be home soon. Battered by Euroglide to get across the sea. I gotta follow my captain in the sky. God, my scars are ready to beg. Privileged to trust you, I'll worship and stay at anguish burning in my pleas are that I can, under all these stones, still combine my hands to God, my scars are ready to beg. Privileged to trust you, I'll worship and stay at anguish burning in my pleas are that I can, under all these stones, still combine my hands to
And we're back. There we go. That's Judas Sargent for you guys. Endurance. One day I'll get another song to play at the halftime show. I swear down. But I still like that one. So screw you guys. It's my show. I'll play that song if I want to. Anyway, we're back. Let's keep this live Q&A going. Get your questions in, guys. Let's do this. The Giant Tree, you are just fashionably late. That was the halftime usual music session. Well, I get a quick drink, refresh myself, and get ready for the latter half of the show. Now, it is 20 to 11 here, PM for me. I don't want to go too late, so maybe I'll go for an hour and a half today. So I'm going to say that now. You know, I'm like, my extra half an hour usually turns into 2, but I'm going to try my best to end this one early so I can get some sleep. So please get your questions in now, guys. You've got me for 30 minutes, so let's do this. Let's have a back and forth. What's up with all the Ferris wheels ever in the last few years? Is it representing the torture wheel they used on the saints to try and wipe out Christianity, says Lady Songster? Well, I don't know. It could be that there's just people who require more funfairs these days and distractions rather than meaning something horribly symbolic. Sometimes they can represent eyes, like the London Eye. It's a giant Ferris wheel, and you know the Illuminati love their eyes, don't you? It could represent the great cosmic wheel of some kind, if you want to get all Eastern about the situation. It could represent the black sun of Saturn, if you want to get more esoteric into the occult aspects of Western mysticism. Who knows what the Ferris wheel truly represents? It could represent the cosmic circus in which the DMT jesters reside. There's many ways you could do it. Or perhaps it's just a spinning giant circle that people like to go on to see things from a really high position. Maybe it's just as simple as that. I couldn't really say. I didn't know many were popping up all over the place, personally. That's news to me, but representing the torture wheel they use on the saints? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Have you covered Albert Pike's letter? What are your thoughts on the protocols of the learned elders of Zion? Some world domination advice for the Cult of God. I covered the letter to Mazzini recently, yeah, about the plan, to start the 3 world wars. I have discussed that a lot. If you look at my last few shows, yeah, and one of my recent videos was about that too. So you can go and get all my thoughts on Albert Pike's letter. And I personally think what's happening right now, and what we see happening right now, predominantly in the Western world, the rise of the communistic, socialist, social Marxist communism that has had its grips over the West over the past 20 years and has been infiltrating all of our institutions, education, monetary, banking, anywhere and everywhere. Everything's going woke, I think we're seeing the pendulum swing backlash of that now. And I think they represented the nihilists and the atheists in the letter. Because most people who have that communistic woke mindset are nihilistic atheists. They just are, and it's not all nihilistic atheists are communists, but you better believe all communists are nihilistic atheists. It's that type of situation, isn't it? And I think they were unleashed onto us, weren't they? And they were definitely keeping Christianity in check, making Christians too afraid to speak up and stand up and fight back for a long time through fear of the repercussions of the woke mob. But I think that's over. And now the sleeping giant or the sleeping lion that is dormant Christianity is waking up and biting back big time now, especially since the whole Charlie Kirk situation. I think it lit a fire under the Christianity of the West, and now it's saying you will not take away our traditions, our cultures, and our futures, and our lives, and our religions, and our faiths. You will not take it over and replace it with Islam or with this soulless nihilism. It's not happening. And I think there's been a huge revival of Christianity, but when you actually read that letter, you realize that actually is part of the plan. The part of the plan was to keep Christianity restrained after the communist Cold War era and the post-World War II. Use communism to keep Christianity in check until they are released when needed for the final cataclysm. And I think the socialist communists are falling now. But they were a piece on the board that was always meant to die. It was always meant to be taken out and be replaced by the new unrestrained Christianity Albert Pike talks about. And we're seeing that now. And the problem is the Christianity that is rising up, especially in the youth, is the Catholic Orthodox Deus Vult. Let's go take back Jerusalem. It's war. It's the war Christianity. It's the Crusader Christianity types have woken up and they're fallen into that, and it's basically Crusader churchianity. It's not really Christianity. I don't think Christ ever said, follow his way. I can't remember any point in the way of Christ where he took the sword off the Roman legionnaire next to him, dropped the cross, and then hacked down all those who would crucify him. I don't remember that in the story. I'm pretty sure he marched his way and died with dignity and obviously rose again and conquered death, not through earthly violent means. He didn't defeat the enemy through violence. That's not how he defeated them. And I feel like I get a lot of comments and reactions from that reactionary Christianity movement I was talking about, telling me in the comments, we have every right to defend ourselves. Christianity, you make Christianity weak, and Christianity is not supposed to be weak. We're supposed to go out there and fight. And it's kind of like, you are the people that they've made you like this. You're a product. Speak to the Christians who were Christians before it was cool. We're not like you. And it's not because we're weak. It has nothing to do with that. It's because we understand the spiritual implications of what's going on around us. We have discernment. We've been watching for a lot longer than you. And we know what's really going on. We know there are agendas and plans at play. And they're going to use you. They're going to use your righteous anger against you and turn you into killing machines. You've lost it at that point. You've lost it. That's what Albert Pike planned. And I think the nihilists and the atheists now are being destroyed because we're supposed to be disillusioned with that type of mentality. They want us seeking a deistic mindset. They want us looking for God and for answers. And once these Christians, so-called, swept up in this Deus Vult churchianity movement, go out and slaughter loads of people and win these wars, at the end of it, they're going to be like, what have we done? What God would want us to do this? And then they're completely disillusioned with Christianity, completely disillusioned with atheism because they've seen how horrible that is and where it leads. It's like, well, where do we put our adulation and our worship? And Albert Pike will then say, and that's when we release the true doctrine of Lucifer upon the world. It's kind of, maybe he's a bit hopeful that we're suddenly just going to bow down to the Luciferian doctrine just because of that. I don't know. But that's the plan. And I can't help but feel like what we're seeing right now is quite a lot of that plan coming to fruition. And it's all going to center around a war in the Middle East in which Islam and Zionism also mutually destroy each other simultaneously while that's going on as well. I can see that. So that's my quick recap take on the situation there, with a bit more passion and zest behind it than in my more level-headed, calm video I made a few days ago about that. But go and check it out, I kind of flesh out a bit more and show more examples. Adults versus arrested development mindset. I guess so, yeah. I mean, these are young fighting age men who have been inspired and radicalized to support their culture's original base religion, which is Christianity or Catholicism, shall we say, and I don't think a lot of these young men are actually Christians. I think they just believe in standing and having identity with their birthright, where they were born, which is a Christian country, as we call them. So I feel like this patriotic Christian is what we're getting here, and that's the kind of the problem. We're not supposed to blend our Christianity with flags and with nations like that. We're supposed to be set apart from the world, and we live that example, and I think what's really happening is these are just patriots who want to defend the idea of Christianity because it's what the country that they were born in, that's their state religion, and that's kind of, it's their moral duty to protect the country, and against the evil barbarian hordes that are invading. And it's kind of, it's a big mind play. It's a total mind manipulation that's going on, because I get it. Horrible things are happening right now in Western countries, and yes, it feels like we need to fight back to protect ourselves. They've got us. It's a catch-22. They've got us by the balls. Like, they know what they're doing. The people who have created this mess have done it on purpose, and it's like, we're going to have to defend ourselves as well. So Lord, have mercy on us all for what we're about to do, because we have to defend ourselves as well. I get how horrible of a situation this is. I'm not naive, but always never forget that the way of Christ is not violence. The world will make it hard for you to forget that. I don't know what else I can say, really. Why do people use the Bible to predict what is to come? What if what we're experiencing are new chapters of the Bible? Interesting. Well, I think it's because the whole story of the Bible, from Genesis all the way to Revelation, is prophecy and a promise of a bringing fallen man back to God. And God first in the Old Testament sets out covenants with a chosen people. And he's trying to make covenants with them that they would set themselves apart from the rest of the world, so he can show them his ways and keep them bring humanity back to him through them. But they always kept failing. So he'd make a new covenant, and he'd simplify the law into the 10 Commandments, and he'd still fail and worship other gods and steal, kill, and destroy and murder and fall away. And then the final covenant is the new covenant, which came through Christ. And when Christ comes, the promised Messiah, through that lineage of the people he chose originally, he promised through them he would never abandon them, and the way back would come through the bloodline, through the children. Well, you have Christ eventually, you have Jesus of Nazareth, don't you? And when he finally turns up and does what he does, it completely blindsides what the people thought was going to be their savior. They were expecting a conquering, ruling king at the time against the Roman. Well, at that point, they were under Roman oppression. If it was Egyptian prior, so at that point, they're like, well, this is not what we expected. And many rejected him, but then he showed this new way. But he even said at the end, it is finished. So what Christ was saying when he did die on that cross is no more prophecy. No more prophets after me. No more of the story. Mankind now is reconciled with God. Mankind now has a way back to God, as it was for Adam in the beginning before he fell. The sin, the original sin, is forgiven, and that separation is no more. So if one should wish or want to have a relationship with God and a way back to him, and in death be able to not suffer the consequences of sin, which is eternal damnation, which is separation from God, well, now no longer is that the case, thanks to what Christ did. He loved us so much that he died for us so that we can be forgiven and have a way back to the Father. And we don't even deserve it. The whole message is you're a wretched, horrible sinner who broke all the rules and can't stop sinning, basically. Like, no matter what you do, this world is corrupt and horrible as well, and it's just awful situation, and you're all pretty much wretched, horrible, perverted monsters. But we remember you, we love you, we created you, and we have a way back to the Father through Christ resurrected. Regardless, that's real love. Real love is in spite of the torture you have put me through, in spite of spitting in my face when I tell you the truth, in spite of crucifying me when I tell you the truth, I still love you and I will still die for you. And that powerful message is why people come to Christ when they hear it. The gospel is simple. That's the message. Spread the message. Your works will not get you there. Christ's sacrifice is enough. It is sufficient. And as long as you believe that, you are saved. I think people want to overcomplicate the message and add loads of other things onto it, but that's basically it. There's nothing else to it, And I think we as Christians, we're not called to go out there and fight other nations or the enemies of Christianity. We're called to make disciples of men, tell them the truth, even if that costs us our life. Tell them the truth. Tell the truth of Christ. That's what we're supposed to do. That's how we win. By spreading the truth and getting people to believe it. And the wonderful thing about the gospel message is when people hear it, they know it's the truth. That's why they get violent. That's why they get angry. Because they just don't want it to be the truth. But that's what we're supposed to do is that. And like I said, there's no need for any more books. It is done. There's no more prophecy. Nothing else is left to be fulfilled. We're at the end of Revelation now, and the last thing there is Great White Throne Judgment just around the corner after a bit of a scuffle. There's no new prophets in this time. There's no. It's done. It is finished with him. It's over. The reconciliation is finished. We don't need the Bible 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's done. It's a contained story, and that's it. I guess I hope that answers your question. Was Revelation written before or after his crucifixion? It was written after. But it wasn't written in the 90s. I think it was written more in the 60s. 60 AD, 70 AD. Just before 70 AD in the destruction of the temple, I think it was written. So maybe about 40 to 30 years, 30 to 40 years after his crucifixion, I think Revelation was written. By John the Revelator. I don't know what that is. Pablum Pucas was a smokescreen for Jesuit Roman dogma regurgitators Jesuit lingo bingo, E-I-E-I-O was here. Z words are vagary gravy. What the hell does that mean? Choosy heretics choose carnation revolution now. Yeah, you sound like a crazy person. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know if you know it, but everyone else is thinking it. Everything about your name and the way you speak and write things makes you look and sound insane. You need to go watch my Tits for Truthers series. There we go. The reason we pick 68 is because it aligns with his exile ship into Patmos. Yeah, well, 68 would make sense. It was prior to the destruction of the temple, that's for sure, because he prophesied that, it was the last revelation of Christ, wasn't it? Christ said, this is what's coming now. This is the end. This is the end of the story. And he said to John, write this down and tell everybody now, because the end is here. This is it. The time is short. And he went on to explain everything, And it happened not long after, it's about 2 to 3 years after, roughly, within the 10 years. And I think so. I think it was written just before the fulfillment of it. Anyhow, if we're going to understand conspiracy, we're going to be saying Luciferian militants and Jesuits and Order of Malta maybe 60 times. Who are you even talking to? Like, look, you're preaching to the choir, first of all. It's like, those words you just said, are not responding to anybody. They're not talking to me directly. You're just saying stuff into the ether, and it's a bad look, man. Come on. Sounds like NLP. The truth is a sword because it cuts lies and lies. Yeah, absolutely, Dan. You're right. It's the truth hurts. It does. It really does. He is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. Hebrews 8:8. That's right. Sorry, honey, but those pants. Okay. Coalition of willing Roman dogma regurgitators. Amen, Paul. Buzz had to be airlifted out of Anastasia. No, when was that? Sorry, guys, trying to catch up to the chat here. You're going to go away from me a minute. I haven't been able to figure out who he's talking to either, says Wendy. I know. Lol, I can unsubscribe if you think I'm crazy and you're too lazy to look up words and phrases you don't really understand. Let's giggle along and see if you ask politely. No, you see, I'm not. You're not saying things I haven't heard before. It's just the way you're going about it makes you look and sound absolutely insane. And I've said it before. I think people like you do a huge disservice to the truth movement and make us look stupid and dumb to the outsider, and you actually prevent people from learning the truth. Maybe that's harsh, but we're dropping some truth today. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, you don't realize what you look or sound like. I don't think you do. I think if you're not a bot out there just saying buzzwords out loud and here to disrail the chat, I don't know. Well, that was quite an exhibition. You call me insane and then tell me not to be rude. Naughty student thinks their teacher with a sense of humor is a sign of weakness. You see, you're in my house. You're just talking nonsense. So for that reason, I'm just going to get rid of you. Like, that's how it works. Like, you've done nothing but derail the entire conversation by coming in and just shouting stuff and doing that. Don't gaslight me and tell me I'm the crazy one for pointing it out. I'm sorry, that's just not the way it is. Right? That's not how it works here. I will not be gaslit. I will not be gaslit. Anyway, there we go. The crane or swallow, so did I chatter. Wendy with the snipe there. I'm Holy Spirit backspacing. Maybe I should have Holy Spirit backspace there too, Wendy, but you know, I don't have time for nonsense. I was in top chat. I conflate it with live chat. Oh dear. Yeah, everyone, that's a rookie mistake there from Shelley. Always make sure to click the live chat option. That's right, otherwise you miss a lot of stuff and the chat doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Fighting in self-defense is one thing, but joining an army to fight is another, says Mad Pax. True, that's actually funny. That was another thing I got a lot of as a backlash for me saying to the new wave of militant Christians, like, it's a bad idea. They were kind of saying, it's thou shalt not murder, self-defense is all right. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, self-defense is perfectly reasonable. If a man or a woman is waving around a machete and sprinting towards you with a machete, screaming, I will kill you, infidel, or whatever, or you blasphemer, or whatever reason is, you know, you capitalist pig, for whatever reason they're running at you and want to kill you with the blade, they're running at you, yes, defend yourself. Sure. Completely legitimate. Like, if they're firing bullets at you and you suddenly take cover and they just miss, it's like you're armed. Defend yourself. Stop them from killing you. I get it. All right, incapacitate them if you can, rather than murdering them. That would be great, you know, if you can somehow stop it. Somehow there's no other way. Like, you have to stop them before they kill you. And I get it. Yes, defend yourself. I don't think God has any problem with you defending your life when it's an immediate threat, or defending your family at all. I don't think he has an issue with that. But if you preemptively go out and kill those people who disagree with you because you think they might kill you, then you're a murderer. Do you see the difference? Because you hear the sentiment, don't you, everywhere? It's like the left is dangerous. They're full of killers and murderers around every corner. Keep your head on a swivel. You just don't know who's going to take you out at any moment. They could just stab you in the back in a bus at any moment, or they could just take a shot at your neck out of nowhere. Like, these people are murderous, and they're in our civilization, in our society. They hate us, they hate our culture, and they want me dead. So, with that mindset, is it unreasonable in your own mind then saying, I've got to stop this before that happens. We need to mobilize and kill them all before they get us. But have they actually done anything to you? Did these individuals who get rounded up and shot on the wall or hung or whatever, righteously so because they're indoctrinated with evil ideologies, you know, did they actually attack you? Or did they just think and say mean words at you? Or did they actually come at you with a weapon or a gun or at any moment? Were you actually in a situation where you as an individual needed to defend yourself against them in that moment? I don't think God I don't think God will justify pre-crime action. Preemptive measures. I don't think God cares about that. I don't think so. Okay. It's not good. That's still murder. It's not good. It isn't good. And that isn't to say you can't repent and be saved and forgiven. Don't get me wrong. But how about we avoid mass murder before testing the insurance policy? You know, how about we just avoid that issue altogether and not have to suffer the mental, physical turmoil and pain and misery that kind of thing causes upon humanity, you know, and yourself mentally. But that's the problem. People are being... We talk about radicalization. The left are radicalized. But you need to see that that stuff is shown to you on purpose to radicalize you too, to be the counter. That's how it works. It's Hegelian dialectic. It's thesis, antithesis, synthesis. It's problem, reaction, solution. It's two wings of the same bird. It's two sides of the same coin. It's black and white. It's red and blue. It's old. It's young. It's boomer versus millennials. I don't know. It's rich. It's poor. It's male. It's female. Whatever division or whatever you can come up with, they'll come up with to divide people and start war. And both sides are so certain they're the good side. And the other one is evil, right? Every time. Come on. I use the phrase, let Babylon fight Babylon. We're called to come out of her. And I think it still stands. My parents and grandparents got the remnants of the American dream, and I get to eat dino nuggets and watch biblical prophecy unfold daily. You get your turkey dinosaur shapes and smiley faces, and your potato barrels, whatever you call them over there, your tater tots, and you get to watch your cartoons while watching the world burn. Yeah, that's wonderful. What a world we live in, eh? No doubt, I don't think premeditated homicide in self-defense holds up in most cases. Exactly, Dad. You get it. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Murder and killing are two different things. Absolutely. From the research I've been doing, God only had one son, and you see him in the sky every day. Oh, don't give me the sun in the sky. Jesus is a symbol for the sun. Zeitgeist bullshit. You're in the wrong saloon, buddy. No, that's not true. It's just nonsense. It's just made up stuff. It's literally made up. Jesus was the most recorded man in history. Even Jewish scholars wrote about him, but they didn't say he rose from the dead. Well, of course, they didn't say it. No, look, there's plenty of other witnesses. Yeah, Jesus was real. He's a real person. He's not a sun symbol. No, not at all. I didn't bother backspacing, says Keely. I can unsubscribe. Go ahead. Why do people announce it? And also 160k subs. I don't think anyone will notice. Yeah, well, people threaten to unsubscribe from me all the time. I'm like, and? Like, I think I have like 40,000 people who have unsubscribed from me over the 10-year period. People come and go, and I don't know everybody. Now, I have my people who are regulars in the chat, who are always making themselves known, and I probably have my regulars there who don't make themselves known, or hear and like what I do, and enjoy listening to me, and disagree with me on some things, agree with me on some things, and that's great. That's called community. That's called a conversation. That's called a back and forth. But when people come in and start dictating to me what I should be talking about on my channel, or in some way insinuating that I'm a bad person, or someone else in the chat is a bad person, or they just talk nonsense or derail the situation, then I'm going to ban you. I'm going to take you away. I don't care. I don't have time for that nonsense. I'm here for cohesion and peace. And then the insults I get afterwards and the emails I get afterwards, as though I owe them something, as though me, a stranger to them, owe them the right to be subscribed to my channel and to comment. It's kind of like, you're not owed anything. I don't owe you a damn thing. I don't. Like, I do what I do. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Leave. It's fine. Like, it's okay. You don't have to slam the door on the way out and make a big flare show about it. Like, no one cares. And yeah, again, I've had it all. I've had it all. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. Whatever. Go through a tantrum somewhere else. Grow up. Like, I don't care. How can the sun be a fallen angel? What was the sun before him? Yeah, I don't. Go ahead, Paul. You make me laugh. I'm happy I found your channel, said LA Dead. I'm glad you're here. I went from popcorn ceilings to popcorn chicken. Popcorn ceilings. Yeah, we have that here. My grandma had that. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, it's out of style these days. I agree with that 100%, Paul. Someone wants to come at me. Both of us are going to regret it. I don't back down. Yeah. F around and find out. That's true. That's true. Again, defend yourself if you're in immediate danger. God will forgive you for that. I don't think he has a problem with that. But if you go out there and preemptively murder people because you think they might get violent against you in the future, then you're just a murderer. You're a radicalized murderer, basically, who's preemptively murdering people for righteous causes that are only up here. That's it, really. That's it. You forced me to sub. It's called superliminal programming. You just tell people, subscribe to me now, and it usually works. So there you go. People like that are going to get butthurt about something eventually anyhow, so it's better to weed them out sooner than later. Yeah, I know. I try to shut it down as quickly as I can, to be honest, Dan. You understand. You have a YouTube channel. I'm sure you get it too. Brother Paul, you'd make a great Texan. I'm sure I would. Well, I'm from the north of the UK. That's kind of like the Texas of the UK. Yeah. I guess that's right. Like it's. I suppose you have the north-south divide in America. You got like the Yankee types and the more southern types. You know, in England it's the other way. Our like New York prim and proper Yankee types are the Southerners. And in the north, we're the rough and ready, streetwise, down to earth, relatable, kind to one another's neighbors, say hello in the streets and ask for the time type people. You know what I mean? But we're also we have a dry, dark sense of humor. We don't take nonsense, and we're very straight to the point type of people too. But in the south, the more prim, proper, upper middle class, go along to get along, keep your head down, get to work, shut up, and follow the rules types. I'm stereotyping here, but generally is the difference in England. And I suppose I would make a good Texan if I was in America, wouldn't I? Yes, I'm going to unsubscribe. This will force them to repent and them to change their minds by removing whatever influence I had. Well, joke's on them. I already removed all the influence they ever had because I blocked them from being seen on my channel by anybody. So there you go. But yeah, go ahead and unsubscribe while they're at it as well. And look, if you look at my comment sections on my videos, there's lots of people who disagree with me and say lots of things, okay? And they're allowed to have that disagreement and say what they want to say. But when they get personal about it or they get weird about it, I just get rid of them. It's like, it's useless. It's a useless comment that helps nobody. And I'm just like, why? I don't want that there. That's the way I kind of see it. I'm scared of Texas. We shall never go. Oh, no, Texas gets a bad rap. I don't think it's that bad from what I've seen. For what I've seen of Texans as well. This is not Southwest. Don't need to announce your departure. Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, I went for an hour and a half and I'm still going. Look at me. I knew I was a liar. I knew I just couldn't do it. I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry, I'm in Oklahoma and it's basically chiller Texas. So we'll go to Oklahoma then. There we go. It's called a compromise. Harry, Paul, I hope you're well. I am well, Harry. Thanks for asking. Well, well, you know, I have the veneer of wellness. Behind the scenes, everything's falling apart. But I'm okay. Where is he reading the comments from? It was in the chat earlier, lame boy. It's gone now. It's gone. A few channels are saying preemptive strikes are biblically sound. I can't recall the exact script used, but it's basically that Jesus said to get tooled up and get your enemies before they get you, says Old School Pete. Some are literally screaming this. Yeah, listen, Old School Pete, you get it. That's just not the way, is it? No. Jesus explains, go into your closet and pray to the Father in secret. Yeah. Vengeance is the Lord's. It belongs to God. Give it to God. That's what I would say. When the liminal programming enters the chat. Yeah. If you talk faith, get ready for the barbs. The subject matter is not like earthly projects. That's true. That's true. It's confirmation bias then, maybe. If the Bible doesn't say that Nephilim had red hair and white skin and 6 fingers, then why is he assuming these entities are Nephilim? I don't know what that's in response to, though, Lame Boy. I must have missed something there. Makes sense. His ilk will do the same and trying to be important spirits, Poseidon and stuff. Oh, we're talking about the planets and so forth, yeah. He loves to pose as true authority. That's true. It's true. Surely Jesus would be the last of the Nephilim, saying there was no inner course to take place. I have no idea what you just said there, Jim, but no, Jesus wasn't a Nephilim. He was not one of them. A few guys from the UK have relocated to Texas, have become notable influences here in Texas, says Curtis. Really? I don't know anything about that. Fill me in with some more info if you want. Where does it say in the Bible Nephilim had red hair? It doesn't, I don't think. I don't think the Bible specifically says they had red hair. We only know that through archaeological findings currently that show that wherever there's elongated skulls, they're coated in red hair. And then if you look at artwork, and my whole channel is dedicated to showing you cultures all over the earth who represent dragon-human hybrids, which is what I believe the Nephilim were, from the seraphim angels mixing with human women. And many of the mythologies are often that, a dragon mixing with a human woman who took on human form and this type of thing, you know. And you look at their offspring and the paintings on potteries and in mosaics and wherever, and the ancient arts, they were always pale skinned with red hair, always. With wild, crazy eyes, sharp teeth as well, a big grinning smile, and they look like clowns, you know. I've wrote a book about the damn thing, and trust me, the Nephilim had red hair and white skin. And I've got plenty of receipts to back it up. The Bible doesn't talk about it because the Bible's not interested in venerating the enemies of God or telling you what they looked like. It's interested in the actions, not the way they looked. So the Bible tells you what the Nephilim did. It didn't focus too much on their aesthetics, other than telling you the height of some of these things. And they had odd digits, you know. And King Og of Bashan's bed was 13 foot and made of iron, you know, and this type of thing. But no, they didn't really dwell on the aesthetics in the Bible itself. But if you look outside of the Bible at the world, which, by the way, human history is all biblical history. All of it's God's creation. It's all history that we need to pay attention to. They'll tell you when the Nephilim were around, they called them different things. They had different mythologies surrounding them. Aesthetically, they were all identical. Red hair and white skin. So that's it. That's how we know. That's how we know. Paul gets many of the types of folks the asylum should have been built for. It's not just me. It's the truther community in general. It's full of them. And, you know, can we blame them for being so crazy sometimes? Because it's a crazy world, isn't it? Paul, I'd love to see you do a guest spot on Crow 777. I haven't listened to that guy in ages. Is he still going? Like, maybe I will. I don't know. Batman claims vengeance makes me think. Yeah. Playing catch up on the live. Just heard the bones and catacombs doesn't get much more Catholic than that. Yeah. Yesterday on Ancient Aliens, it talked about giants having red hair and 6 fingers and toes. Jesus being a Nephilim is such a wild take. It's not as wild as you think. I get where they're coming from, because Mary was impregnated by light, by God, you know what I mean? So the people try and say, you know, an angel or a heavenly force impregnated a human woman, and then the offspring is Jesus, and that's the same as the Nephilim story. Angels mixing with human women create Nephilim. So if an angel came to Mary and then she was immaculately conceived, you know, with Christ, then is Christ not an angel human hybrid of some kind? And therefore, but it's quite clear he was a man. Jesus was a man, you know, and there was nothing Nephilim-esque about him in any way, but he was clearly a man chosen, sent by God for a divine purpose, and entered into the world to show the way and to die for our sins. It's a completely different narrative, different story. It has nothing to do with the Nephilim. And the Nephilim, you know, the first thing you usually know about the Nephilim is the mother died horribly in birth because he just kept growing. It was a horrible, disgusting situation all around. And only later iterations of Nephilim, which were birthed from the Sirens, who were more well-adapted human women who had been genetically engineered to be able to birth Nephilim, did you start seeing the mother of giants appearing and many types of archetypes of that appearing, like Echidna, for example, in Greek mythology, which was a human woman with serpent legs. It said that red hair is due to the decaying process. The confirmation bias comes from finding things that validates the image. There were multiple variations of entities in history. Pahotep blue. Oh yeah, no, of course. Look at a snake. There's many variations of snake as well in nature, many different colors, shapes, and sizes. But a snake is a snake is a snake is a snake, no matter what color it comes under. They're not all just white skin, red hair, but predominantly they were. But there were variation, absolutely. Of course there is. Nature is like that. The human race has a variation in color and shape and size, does it not? We're not a monolith, and neither were the Nephilim. But the predominant theme is that they predominantly had red hair and white skin. Some of them had golden hair. Some of them had multicolored pattern skin, or blue skin, or black skin, or red skin, or some other random colored skin. Look at the Oni of Japan, for example. There are all sorts of arrays of colors there, But predominantly, the theme was red hair, white skin. And it's not confirmation bias. It's a pattern recognition. It's obvious when you actually go looking for it. It sounds like you just don't want it to be true, from what I'm getting there. The cultures with the clown face masks never said they were giants. I just don't understand the correlation with Nephilim to these ancient cultures. If you don't understand it, then that's your problem. Because I've made it abundantly clear. So I don't... your comment sounds extremely disingenuous. That if you don't understand, then that's your issue, not mine by this point. I'm sorry. That's just the way I'm going to have to deal with that. How long before they clone the DNA from the shroud, or claim they have? That's probably around the corner, to be honest. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It'll coincide with everything else that's going on, wouldn't it? Absolutely. What did I miss there? What do you think of 3-Eye Atlas? What do you think it is, says Andrea? Well, I think we're in an enclosed system, and I think we're just looking at dots in the sky and trying to make way more out of them than there actually is, to be honest. I think a lot of what NASA comes out with is just bullshit. It's just nonsense math that people look at and play with and believe wholeheartedly. And I think people's imaginations are being messed with wholeheartedly with this whole thing right now. And we're being told it could possibly be an alien craft from interstellar space who's come here to bring a fleet along with it now, is the latest one. There's fleets surrounding it of other ships, And could this be the Galactic Federation turning up to bring us into the fold or something? And I don't know, And then you got this Israeli astrophysicist called Avi Loeb, who's out there saying it could be aliens, guys, and everyone's going along with it. And I think it's a part of the narrative. It's a narrative. It's a plot device for the alien invasion, the false alien invasion that's around the corner. And they have pumped way too much money into the propaganda for that for over 100 years now. They are doing the alien invasion. Like, by this point, it's, what do you call that? It's like a sunken cost fallacy. Like, they're just going to do it because they've put too much money into it to quit now. They've heavily programmed and prepped the human race for alien invasion. And they're just waiting to set it off, and it'll be a false one. It'll be to usher in the Luciferian doctrine along with everything else. It's all nonsense because we live in an enclosed system. There isn't vast, infinite space that goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And, million-mile distances and trillions of stars and galaxies and all that stuff is it's just fantasy. It's pure science fiction. Pure science fiction. That they've sold to us as truth. So I don't think it's anything And if it is anything that's actually real moving up there, then it's more likely an angel that's left its first estate and become a wandering star, putting on a show for us to help with the illusion, I would say. Vikings were just snow Romans. Yeah, we did a thing about that. Me and JT a while ago, actually, about the Vikings, and it's talked about in the presentation with Gunnar Heinsohn. If you haven't checked that out, so go listen to that if you haven't already. Support Paul, says Reality. Thanks, Reality Witness. I really appreciate the help. Have you ever watched The Gods of Egypt with Gerard Butler? The gods in the movie are giants, are shapeshift to become human-sized to be with women. Yeah, I think the angels were shapeshifters. I think they could have human form, dragon form, all sorts of forms. I think they were formless in many ways. I think they're beyond our usual understanding of physics in every way. They're angels, you know, the controllers and creators of the world. And I don't mean not like God. They were created by God to have dominion over sections of the earth and to make sure it runs. So I think they're very much interlinked with the machinery and the mechanics of the universe and the world around us and what we perceive. So I think they could manipulate everything and anything in ways that were just unfathomable to us. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of shapeshifting going on. It corroborates all the stories in every continent, to be honest. Even in, the coastal peoples of North America, you know, and let's say like where the totem poles are, they talk about thunderbirds, you know, and raven and this type of thing who come down and take human form and deceive young women into marrying them, and then when they discover it's actually a raven, they turn against them, but then they flap their wings and cause a storm and sink the boats, and it's kind of, they can change form from human to bird, like, you know, just like the Egyptian gods in that story. It's a common thing. It's a really common thing. And they're usually up to no good. They're always up to no good, I can tell you that right now. And it always involves taking a wife or something. I got you. Thanks for the response. I'll look more into it. Yeah, just I don't know what you've seen, Lame Boy. I don't know how much work you've done into my research on the Nephilim clown connection, but it's not that one presentation that you may have come from. Like, that is not it. It spans from 2016 to now. You can watch my entire thought process from start to finish. There's 46 episodes into a series on a playlist on my channel going into this. It gets deeper and deeper with each episode into all the cultures and what they believe and why they believe what they believe and why they dress the way they dress. I have a book published about this which lays out all the history and where we get the clown costume from. The clown costume is literally a representation of Rakshasa demons of India. And Harlequin, the first proto-clown of the Commedia dell'arte, is modelled after the wild men of Europe, which again is a Nephilim analogue. Giant club-wielding, man-eating monsters of the forest, you know. Clowns have always been representations of demons, but at the same time, all demons throughout history in different cultures have looked like clowns too. Or have had motifs which were adopted into the modern clown costume, which is why the name's there. I think you've gone a bit too literal with the title and not really understood the depth of what I'm actually saying. The title is just a catchy hook, okay? But actually look into what I've actually researched and what I've presented, and it's very clear what the Nephilim looked like. It's not even like, and why I make those connections that you think are arbitrary or confirmation bias. Like, it really isn't. I'm not an idiot. I've done my research on this, and I bring the receipts and the references too. That looks like a pigeon. It is a pigeon. I got it from a museum. Me and my wife saw it and we're like, we like that. I don't know why. I just like it. I just do. So I got it and we put it in the office. Very interesting. Your knowledge is amazing. Thanks for the responses, LA Den. Oh, well, thank you. Thanks. I'm glad you liked it. I don't know what I responded now. I'm kind of losing it. It's late and my brain's melting. So, but I'm glad whatever I said to your question was useful to you. The Nephilim Look Like Clowns is my most loaned out book. That's wonderful. Good to hear. I'm happy to hear it. If anyone's interested, I don't know if you got your when you got your copies, but you may have a first edition in your hands. If it's a second edition, it's clearly labelled in the frontispiece. It's there with all the details. Second edition. I think this. Does this one say it here? Not that one. Not that one. Yeah, so first published July 2024. This is a revised second edition, finalized for audiobook reading July 2025. So if you got your copy in July 2025, it'll have this version here. And it's actually the finalized version with all the correct edits added to punctuation and spelling and things like this. So if you don't have that little piece written at the front, you have a first edition of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns. The first year's worth of publishing, and from now on anyone who buys the book is getting a second edition with all the corrections made. So just if you didn't know that, just a bit of a tidbit for you there, a bit of behind the scenes information. But when I finished the audiobook, I was reading it aloud, and I realized when reading it out loud, some of it just didn't sound right. It didn't flow correctly, and there was mistakes like capital letters missing, punctuation missing, things like this, which would affect the readability of the book. And I wasn't happy with it, so I'd made edits as I went along and read it. And what you would buy now matches perfectly the audiobook. So you could read along with the audiobook, and it would match the writing perfectly. But if you have a first edition, there'll be a lot of differences, subtle differences that you wouldn't, which you'll only notice if you're listening and reading along with the first edition. So just letting you know if you're interested. There we go. I'm a Christian that came out of the New Age, so I know this stuff is real. A lot of people in the industry of entertainment dress like clowns, says the Shelby. Well, the Shelby, come on one day to a Truth or Therapy session, maybe next week, and tell me about your experiences. Email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and I would love to hear your story of coming out of the New Age and finding Christ, and any information you have about the industry that you know as well that you've seen. Come and share it on my channel. This is what it's for. Absolutely. Email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com if you want to share that story, the Shelby. I would love to hear it. I don't want to sound like I'm questioning God's creation, but this has been on my mind a lot, and I feel like you're the only one who can explain it properly, says Tia. Given the Nephilim didn't choose their nature and demons have no opportunity for redemption, how is this reconciled with the idea of divine justice? When you have cancer, you don't reason with it. You don't question its morality. You cut it out. That's how God sees the Nephilim and demons. There's no good in them. All they can do is kill, steal, and destroy. They are a parasite on the earth in the physical sense because they ate up everything and ate people and all the animals. Because the acquisitions of the earth cannot maintain them or support them. Left alone and left unchecked, they would eradicate all life on earth, and then they would die themselves once resources have run out. They are a cancer. They are not a part of the original design. They're an invasive species and body that in the body that shouldn't be there in the creation to begin with. I think you are applying to them human virtues, emotions, and rights that don't apply to them. I don't think you fully understand what the Nephilim were, and still are today as demons. Now, even as demons, they are still parasites. They need hosts to survive. And when they do get into a host, they kill the host. They make them do terrible things for their own lusts and pleasures, and then until the host is an empty shell vessel husk of what it used to be, and it's useless, and then they kill it. That's what parasites do. And when you have parasites, it's time for a cleanse. You don't let them live peaceably with you because all life is precious or none of that nonsense. I think you need to switch your thinking a little bit about demons. And it has nothing to do with divine justice. Nothing to do with that at all. It's simple. The earth is infested. It needs to be cleansed. That's do you feel guilty for getting rid of parasites when you do a protocol? Do you feel bad about that? Do you feel bad about getting the cancer cells out of your body before they spread? Do you feel bad about that? You know, when you get poison in your hand and you can see it spreading up your vein towards your heart, do you feel bad about cutting off the arm to save the rest of the body? That's how you have to view this. Okay? They don't have good in them. They don't have the spirit of God or a soul to God, connected to God in any way. They are of the earth, and this earth is fallen. It is corrupted. And that's it. That's how you have to view it. That's it, really. This is a problem. And it's not a problem. It's just an issue I've learned about people and our nature. People are inherently, most of the time, good. Most of the time. Okay? Or at least we try to do our best to be good to one another. And most good people don't understand evil. And most good people go through life assuming that other people want to be good to them too. And those are the people who get destroyed, stepped on, and crushed. Because good people tend to be naive to the reality of evil until they encounter it. And then they realize usually they're not the same afterwards. And good people tend to have this issue of giving other people their own morality. Oh, they wouldn't do that because I wouldn't do it. Surely they wouldn't lie to me because I don't lie to people. Oh, they wouldn't kill me because I wouldn't kill people or them. And that's the mistake. That's the mistake you're making. You're basically making that mistake. You're humanizing something that isn't human, basically. And look, I'm not all for dehumanizing people because the people are people. We're flawed and complicated. But I'm all for making sure we don't humanize demons. I'm all for that. Okay. I'm not going to give them the same privilege. I'm not. They do not deserve it. It's that simple. So there you go. That's all I can really say. That'd be a bit harsh, but hopefully that answers your question. Your heart is getting the better of you on that one, I would say. There we go. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you, says T. Okay, I'm glad that made sense to you. That's just how I see it, you know. I once got a comment. I got such an odd comment on my podcast on Spotify, and I basically explained how, you know, the only way to get rid of a demon is to starve it. Okay, so, and obviously prayer as well, and casting it out, but to make it weak and to make your vessel a place where that's not worth inhabiting, you need to make staying in your body bad for them. And to do that, you need to stop doing the thing they want you to do. That pleasure, that sin, that lust, that thing that they prompt you and whisper in your ear and influence you with thoughts that you think are your own but aren't your own, to make you go and do that thing, drink that drink, have that sex, smoke that thing, take that drug, eat that food, watch that TV show, kill that person, rape that person. You know, it gets darker and darker and darker because it can go that far when you have demons involved, you know. That's the problem. But if you starve the demon in you of that thing, eventually it won't want to be there anymore because you're useless to it. You're not. providing what it wants. And this is the problem. Demons live through your senses. They make you do those things because they don't have bodies anymore to feel things. But you do. And if you let it in your body, it will feel whatever you feel. It'll smell, taste, touch, see, hear, everything you hear, smell, touch, see, taste, and whatever, and feel. So it lives vicariously through your senses. But it doesn't really want you to know it's doing that. So it makes it think you're thinking those things or you want to do that stuff. And it influences you to believe that's just who you are. But really, you're a child of God who was called for better things than that. And once you realize your power and authority and turn away from that life and obviously bring the Holy Spirit into your body, it will leave. And fasting is a great way of starving it of those things because fasting is completely denying the flesh. Abstaining from doing anything and putting anything into it or doing anything at all, eventually that will starve the demon out of you. That's the best thing to do. And it also is a good way to get rid of parasites in many ways too. So it goes hand in hand, you know. And yeah, just thought I'd explain that a little bit. You know, that's a good way to get rid of demons. But you have the authority to cast them out anyway through Jesus Christ. He gave you that authority to tread on serpents and to cast out demons. It's simple. And they're a defeated enemy. They only survive through remaining hidden. That's how it works. They just don't want you to realize they're there. So they do everything they can to make you think you're the one doing those things. You're the one who wants that stuff. And you might even be disgusted with yourself. It's like, why do I do this? Why do I keep going back to that sin? Why do I keep partaking in this disgusting thing? And afterwards, it's like, what did I do that? Why did I do that? Why am I doing this? And you know it's wrong, and you don't know why you can't stop, and you don't know what's making you go back for more, and you blame yourself, and you guilt yourself, and you feel shame and anxiety, and it's like, what am I? I'm a monster, and you believe these lies about yourself, and it gets worse and worse, but you're not. You're under the influence of a demon. That's really what it comes down to. I started to sound like Brian here, aren't I, from Demon Erasers? It's demons, bro. Nah, it's all demons. Everything is just demons. Yeah. But in a way, he's kind of right. What we're up against is horrible. It's a spiritual warfare, you know. And look, this isn't to say, like, once you get the demons out, you can't still be tempted. Because the problem is, everyone who's got demons in them will start attacking you. And if they can't get in you and possess you, then they'll make sure, while they're in everyone else, to oppress you from the outside with outside influence. Bad shit will start happening to you. People will start being mean to you. People will start cutting you up and stealing from you and even physically attacking you because they have demons in them that are controlling them and you're an enemy to them now because you're no longer useful. And they'd rather have you dead than not be possessable anymore. So that's why Christians are an enemy, a serious enemy, because if you've got the Holy Spirit in you, they can't dwell in you anymore. Occupied. You know, and they'll do anything they can to make sure you never get there as well. They'll make you feel like you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you don't deserve salvation, or they'll make you think Jesus is just a sun god, or no, Jesus is just a symbol for the seasons or something, or Jesus is just a representation of the oil that goes up the spine to the third eye enlightenment, or Christians are lame, or Christians are boring, or you don't want to be one of those, do you? It's like they'll do anything they can to push you away from just opening up and reading the word for yourself and letting Christ into your life. They'll just do everything to put you off it for as long as possible. But the problem is the truth, and it'll keep pulling you towards it whether you like it or not, and eventually the demon knows it's going to lose you. That's when it lashes out. Usually that's when it does something extreme, and that's when really bad stuff happens just before that conversion. I got my own stories, you know, and I swear they tried to kill me when I was going through my coming to Christ period of life. I had one moment where I think I was having a brain aneurysm. I thought I was dying, and I had to call on Jesus to help me verbally. Jesus, help me, and it stopped instantly. And things happened after that which I don't really want to discuss, but I know the demons were gone. Okay, like it was more like a TMI information, like a purging of the bad stuff happened. You know what I mean? Like it was gross on every level, but it happens once you let the Holy Spirit in. The thing has to come out, and there's plenty of stories be like vomiting black bile and all sorts of things when demons come out of them, because I think there's a very physical aspect to it, which might be parasitical, to be honest. And I've got a whole presentation about parasites and demons, you know. to attest to that idea. And I think when the spiritual entity comes out, so does the physical infestation too. I think it's all there. And I think like the physical infestation is a conduit for the demonic manifestation, spiritually speaking. I think it's kind of they work spiritual and physical together in that sense. It get really complicated, but I think through Christ, honestly, you can be saved and cleansed of such things. And that's how you know. That's why people like me are so solid in our beliefs. It's because we have practically applied it in our lives with tangible physical results to the point where it's undeniable. It's not just a fanciful concept because I read some words in a book that I have to put faith in believing. I don't have faith. I know. There's no faith about it. I've seen enough. I've done enough to know. Like, I come from the psychedelic community originally. I've seen some things. I know God is real. I know Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the life. And I'm going to profess that till I'm dead because I cannot lie. I cannot say that's not true. I know it's true. I don't have to hope it's true. I don't have blessed hope or faith. I know. No one can tell me otherwise. No one can change that. I can't that which has been seen cannot be unseen. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. And I think there's a lot more people coming out now and boldly proclaiming this truth, even in the odds of the horrors of the world, and ridicule rolls off our back now. It's like, I don't care. Call me crazy. You're wrong. It's real. It's true. He's there. You need to know him. I think we're done. I think people are braver than ever now, and if I can inspire other people to do the same, then great. What else is this platform for other than that, really, you know? Anyway, guys, I've gone over 2 hours. It's 2 hours 6 minutes, so I'm gonna have to end it there. I think it's probably a good place to end this conversation, isn't it? Thanks for joining me for another Truth or Therapy session. I hope this helps you in some way. I hope this makes you feel a bit less crazy in this conspiracy world as you do your research. I know it can get dark out in those warrens, deep down in those warrens. So consider this me pulling you up for some fresh air before you go back into your research. I'll be back next week, next Sunday, on the usual schedule with the Truth or Therapy session again. I'll do a live Q&A back on schedule with a bit of up-to-date news and what's going on in the world stuff on Wednesday. And I may check out a couple of videos in between here and there as usual as well. And like I said, guys, if you want to support me, please consider becoming a patron. That's a great way to support me, and there's extra stuff on there. The next episode of The Occult Artist is coming out on Understanding Creativity, my other channel. If you didn't know, I do have another channel called Understanding Creativity. Go and check that out if you haven't already. There's lots of great stuff on there. We get into the art world and the occult on a deep level. It's very profound stuff, and I'm excited to have Susan on there, who's a very learned professional in the art world, share her take on some of these symbols and some of the greats from the past as well, and what was really going on behind the scenes. So please check that out. And I'm just going to close out this video with a promo video for the second half of the recent presentation. You can go watch the first half right now. The second half is being released on Thursday. So that's coming up, guys. Go and check that out if you haven't already. Consider being a patron to help support me. You can go through PayPal to support me as well, or buy yourself a signed copy of The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns. I've got 5 copies here available for signed copies to send out in the post. And there we go, guys. I'll leave that there. Thanks for listening. And as always, God bless.
He just managed this rowdy, dangerous crowd, and it was like he was hypnotizing them. All of those things, the flags, the targets, the numbers, are all associated with hypnosis, induction, and mind control. It seems so trivial, doesn't it? Like a television in every home. Some people, a television in every room. It's so powerful, such a powerful medium by the fact of its banality. So for quite a long time, and even today, you'll hear people, standard psychologists, say, well, the thing about hypnotism is, thank goodness, you can't get someone to do something that's against their everyday morality. And it's just not true. You can.